That's one of the Penn State football players. A couple alumni, a gentleman and his wife, who are alumni. I think they're from Johnstown or something, not far from here. Not particularly, probably whatever. So they wrote a letter to him saying, "Listen, man, your hair. I'm sure you're a nice guy." I mean, I'm just going to paraphrase, but essentially saying, just kind of calling him out, saying that his hair, wearing his hair in that way, was not worthy of being kind of a gentleman and a scholar and an athlete and representing Penn State. And then, some of the other players kind of tweeted it out and put it out there. And then it just became this national and, in fact, international news, because the coach, Coach Franklin, made a comment, other people made a comment. And I was thinking, really, again, not digging into the specifics of this, but really digging into the politics of hair. And I thought, well, why don't we talk about that? Because that's very much related to this class. And then I started thinking, well, I went back to last summer, and this headline that I saw, that California was the first state in the U.S. to ban discrimination based on hair. And then I thought, wow, because I've been watching this over the years, and I've been watching various cases go through the courts about hair discrimination or in different ways, and people losing their jobs, or people being kicked out of school, or being sent home from school, all sorts of things, which, I'll give you a couple stories. But, and then more recently, New York was the second state to ban discrimination based on hair. And it's like, what's this about hair? And many of us are probably not really thinking about hair. And if I asked all of us one by one to come to the front and give you a microphone and say, tell me what this issue is about, I would bet that many of us haven't really thought about it, because we don't think about hair in that kind of way, right? It's just not what it is. And so then I just dug through some headlines, and I want to kind of disentangle this a little bit, because there's a sociological component and a biological component. So it kind of goes with the conversation we had the other day. It's sociobiology. It's about the connection between sociology and biology, or sociology meaning culture and biology, and our genetics, and then the things that we're born with and the things that we choose. And so I was looking at a couple things, and I say, well, there's always kind of prescriptions for how people should be in the world, right? And there's kind of there are kind of women's, here's business or business casual, and here's for men, and kind of business or semi-formal or something. And I was thinking, well, yep. As far as I know, I don't know the legality of this, but I'm not sure there are any kind of lawsuits based on people getting fired because they're unwilling to dress in a certain way, and their businesses fire them because they say, listen, you just can't wear jeans to work. You got to be. We're a bank. You know what I mean? You can't wear jeans and so on, and so all these kinds of things that happen, and so. But this is a little bit different story here with hair, and so. So here, here's one. So this young black girl, this is pretty common, actually. Girl sent home from school over hair extensions. Okay, so extensions, all right, so that's something you add to your hair. All right, so you could be cultural, but how cultural? How far back does it go? What are we talking about culture? Are we talking about your religion? Are we talking about just, your community, and then what's your community? All right, but hang on, let's just sit down for a second. So, you could... All right, if I had a school, I wouldn't be sending kids home for extensions or how they dress. I mean, look at me, I'm teaching in a T-shirt, but I'm only teaching in a T-shirt because I had another shirt on. I had a big stain on it. This somebody pointed out to me, and I had to grab an old T-shirt. But then here's this white girl that got sent home from school for her hair being too red. So all right, so she made a choice. Here somebody made some kind of choice to put extensions in her hair, and you can make lots of arguments about whether she still should be allowed to have extensions, and she made a choice, or someone made a choice about dyeing her hair red and a particular color, and the school said, nah, you can't be that color. Okay, I got that. But then look at this one. This girl in Japan sued her school for forcing her to dye her hair black. But the issue, her natural hair was brown. And the school said, no, you can't have your natural hair. Her natural hair is brown. They made her dye it black. And she said, I'm not dyeing it black. This is my natural hair. You can't force me to dye my hair. And so she sued the school, and of course she won. And of course, that would happen in the United States, right? If a school forced someone to dye their hair, you say, this is not my natural hair color. So that wouldn't go very far in the courts. I mean, this would never make it up to like the Supreme Court or something. That case would just get tossed out very quickly. But then here's this black news anchor who got fired for wearing unprofessional they call it, hair. Well, what's her unprofessional hair? Her unprofessional hair was her natural hair. So we're looking at nearly 300,000 years of human evolution and Homo sapiens. And genetics being passed on from one ancestor to another, to another, to another for many, many, many generations. And genetics creating different looks that we have. And in her particular case, genetics creating a particular hair texture. She wears her hair naturally, right? And then her place of employment, so she was a reporter, a news anchor, her place of employment says, nah, we're not going to go with that. We're not going to go with, 300,000 years of evolution, so to speak. What we want you to do is straighten your hair. So she used to straighten her hair, and that's what she looked like when she got the job, and for many years in the job, I don't know how many years she worked for it, and this is what she looked like here after she decided, you know what, I'm tired, really, and again, I want to talk about this a little bit, but I'm tired of doing everything that I need to do in order to straighten my hair. I no longer want to do the work of that. I don't want to put the chemicals in my hair. I don't want to go through the entire process. It just feels unnatural. What I really would like to do would be me. Just be me. And so the question then becomes, always there's a dominant group in every society, and the dominant group sets the tone, sets the standards for however other people should be. Whatever that dominant group is. In Japan, it was people who have black hair. And so people said, no, you're going to follow everybody else, and you're going to, even if it's your natural color, we're going to demand that you have black hair. And so somebody else is setting the tone and setting the standard. And so the question becomes, where does an acceptable standard of being able to set whatever that standard is end? And when does discrimination begin? At what point do we start walking into this world of like, hang on, we got a problem? And so the courts, at least in 2 states and many, many cities across the United States, have decided, you know what? Actually, it's a problem to tell somebody that their natural way of being, like how different is that than telling someone who has an epicanthic eye fold that, you know what? Your eyes are just a little bit too problematic, too narrow, to whatever it is, to that fold right there. Remember we talked about it? It's like, we just don't really like that in our workplace, and you really need to do something about that. So maybe you can put little clips in the corner of your eye to get rid of that. You can do whatever. Maybe you have surgery, I have no idea, but something. When does that start, and when does that begin to be a problem? This takes us then to the Penn State football player. For those who don't know, Joe Paterno was the football coach at Penn State for many, many years. He had a very strict dress code policy. And it was like, nah, this is the policy, and this is how we operate, and this is what you're going to look like. That's not in place anymore. So if that is the case, then if someone allowing themselves to be who they are, like, for example, it might be akin to telling white players or white students, listen, you're out in the sun so much. I know it's natural for you. Just like, hey, it's natural for you. Just let your hair grow and not get a haircut. Well, it's also natural for you to get tan, get a little bit darker in the summertime when you get some sun. You really need to make sure you put suntan lotion on that, because that's just a problem. You can't allow your skin to do what your skin naturally does. You can't allow your hair to do what your hair naturally does. We can go in lots and lots of different directions on this. Here's the idea behind the California and New York laws. It's basically saying Jalen. So here, put the camera. So think about Jalen's hair. If she just does her hair natural, like your hair, you just get in the shower. You've dyed it, right? But have you colored your hair? Really, that's your natural color?
No, it's been like 6 months.
Oh, 6 months? Okay, got it. But so your natural thing is you shampoo, you get out of the shower, you comb it, you're good to go. Your natural thing is you do the same thing, and it looks, so now we see how your hair can start to look. And then imagine your employer coming along saying, yo, that's not cool at all. You need to do something about your hair. You need to straighten it. You need to do whatever it is, right?
Yeah, and that's damaging for my hair. That's not the natural way my hair is. And it's hard to get it that way in the first place.